So today we're looking at isometric sketching. Isometric means equal measure, so in each direction you're going, the dimensions are the same. So like if you're representing 1 inch, you should represent 1 inch the same. Realize for these drawings, you're going to be making them to scale. So if you have something that's 5 feet, you're not drawing 5 feet, but when you scale down, you scale it down the same way. So you have 3 adjacent faces on your cube that share a single point, which they show where the 3 120s are. Your angles are basically 30 degrees and 120 degrees. Now, to try and keep this simple, when I go over the sketching, I'm going to show you a way to make it easier to measure or to estimate where you are at, and that throws it off a little bit. So it's not exactly 30 and 120 the way I show it to you, but I think in general that's easier for what we're doing in this class. Okay. So we have our 3 edges that represent our height, our width, and our depth. So your height is always just vertical, and your width and your depth go in different directions along those other lines. And I'll show that again as I'm sketching it out. Then this here is showing our different faces. So depending on what I want to show would depend on what isometric view I want. I would always have that front view, which we'll talk about again in the next picture here. But like if I want to show I can't see the left and I can't see the back the way this is drawn. The first one is drawn. I can see the left, I can't see the right or the back the way the second one is drawn. So depending on whether I want to show the right or the left sort of depends on how I angle things. We'll look at something in the near future called multi-view, which lets me do some additional sketches to show everything I need to show. So that will help us as well. But with the isometric, you're showing basically those 3 sides, the top, the front, and either the right or the left. Again, this is for, it doesn't say it on here, this is for finding our front view. All right. So most natural position or use shows the best shape and characteristic contours. Longest dimensions, which is probably the easiest thing to see. Right? If you're questioning what it is, go by the longest side. Fewest hidden lines, and most stable and natural position. Again, sometimes the thing to watch with front view is sometimes the front view is not what you would call the front of the object, right? Like the front view of a car is the side of the car, not what most people would call the front of the car. It's the best example of it. So keep that in mind. So then the next picture here, this is an isometric sketch of that. If you looked at it from the back, right, presuming this is what they're telling us is the front is the front. If I look at it from the back, I would have hidden lines because there's stuff I'm not seeing. They show that longest dimension there, which is why that's on my front view. Right. It also, if I look at the front view, I can see that L shape and I can see the ramp shape, where I can't see both of those if I look at it on a different view. I can also see that the ramp doesn't go all the way through, which I wouldn't be able to see on the back view. So I'm going to demonstrate isometric sketching. First thing you need to do is figure out the dimensions that you're drawing your object. So if I have something, we've used like cubes in the past, right? If I have something that's made of cubes and it's 3 high, so we're going to say right here, 3 high, 2 long, and 1 back. All right. So I need to represent those cubes. So if I'm looking at height, I could do each cube. My height is going to be drawn just going up. So I could do each cube going up 1.
right? That's probably making my object really small, and it's probably going to be hard to draw in. So I probably want to make something bigger than that. So I want to consider how I'm doing that. All right. So I'm going to say each one of these little blocks here is a third of a cube. So this would be one block high. Right? So then I go up 3 more. Let's see. Okay, 1, 2, there you go, 3. And then that's my 2 cubes, and then I go up 1 more or 3 more, and that's my 3rd cube, right? So that's my 3 high. I'm using 9 boxes to go 3 high. I also need my other 2 dimensions. Okay. Now, one of the things we do with isometric sketching, I'm going to move this up a little bit. One of the things we do with isometric sketching is you need to make a box that your thing fits in. Now, long term, when we get further into this, if you're comfortable doing it, I'm not going to require the box. On the stuff that we're starting out with, if you're not drawing the box, you're not getting credit. Okay, so when we can start not having this, I will tell you. But starting off, when you're doing isometric sketching, you need the box. The box does a couple things for us. 1, it lets me know how it fits. 2, it lets me know where things are and lets me place them easier. Right? So we're going to say our length is going this way. So 3 is represented by 9 blocks. So 2, and this is going to be in the way of what I'm actually drawing, is going to be represented by 6 and 1 by 3. So when we looked at the pictures, it said that we did 30 and 120 angles. That makes it hard to count. So what I normally say is go to the corner here, which isn't exactly 30. But so if I count back this way, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's where I'm going to end up. Right? So my 2 back, and if drawing this line, your best bet is look at where you're drawing to. If you look at where you're drawing to, you're always going to get there. All right. Now I'm going to come down. Let's see. I'm going to erase this. All right. I'm going to come down. I need to come down the 9 that I came down here. Right. And then I come over, and this, if I connect those, if I count that, that's going to be my 6. Then I go the other way. So the back is going this way. So I come over 1, 2, 3, right? And we only went 2, 3. We only went to 1 back, right? I come down my 9. And over my 3, right? So now this is the front of my object. This is the right side. And up here, I have the top. And I didn't count, so I'm a little bit off there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Right, so that's my box. So now everything I'm drawing should fit in there, right? So if my top, I'm putting right up here. My side, I'm putting here, right? So if I have something, like if I have 3 blocks in the back and 1 in the front, I come up 1, 2, 3 here, right? That's my 1 block. I come over 3 this way. That's my 1 block. And it goes, the back goes this way to wherever that ends. And then I have the stuff that's coming up that runs into. This comes down. That sort of overlaps a bit. I have the front of my block, which comes back this way. So now I have my block here, I have my 3 going up, I have my face here, right? This is just blank right there. So if I shade in, I'll get a pen to trace this, right? I have this block right here that comes to this up here, and then that is my shape. Don't do this because I want to see your box, but if I erase the box a little bit, right, it becomes a little bit clearer if you're not used to seeing it. All right, the box being there, which I want, makes it a little bit, especially if you're doing it all in pencil, makes it a little bit hard to see sometimes. All right, you can use shading to accomplish that, but the main thing I want to see is that you're doing the box and then the shape goes in there. Right? So some of the objects we're going to be looking at is a little bit harder because you're not dealing with blocks specifically. Right? But the first thing you start with is figure out how big you want it to be. Draw that box. Then you know the front of it goes in the front. The back of it goes in the back. And you can figure out where everything else goes from there. It also helps because I have a lot of people who will go to start their drawing here. And then they'll go up and they'll be fine. And then they'll come over this way and they're like, oh, I ran out of room. Well, when I'm drawing the box, it's a lot easier to move that than it is when I'm doing the actual object. Okay, so that's another advantage of the box. So when I'm doing my isometric sketching, I'm going to start off with my box. Let me move this. Right. I'm going to draw that the correct dimensions. I'm just drawing a box really quick here. Right. I'm going to draw that the right dimensions, and then I'm going to build in there. Make sure it's slanted like these boxes are. Right. I always have people that when we do isometric sketching, they start drawing 3-dimensional objects, and it's not isometric. It needs to be slanted like this to be isometric. That's what isometric sketching is. Okay, so watch that. People will go back to drawing the front view and making it 3-dimensional. Right? That's not isometric. So make sure you have that slant. Right? We will be using isometric sketching or isometric pictures the rest of the year. So this is something you need to get. If stuff's not making sense, make sure to let me know.